Good evening. Time is now 6 o'clock. We'll call this August 12th meeting of the County Council to order. We'll begin with an invocation by Councilmember Tribble, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Let's pray. Lord, by your very breath did you create the earth and all that is. By your written word have you been guiding us for all time. By your word made flesh in Jesus did you provide an example for us and a sufficient sacrifice to reconcile us to you. Lord, make us aware of the creative power of our words. Make us aware of the divine power of speech itself. Lord, help us to use our words only for your purpose. We pray today in full confidence that your son's suffering and death will bring us back to you. Amen.
To the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
All right, thank you all for joining us tonight. Up first, we have approval of the agenda. Motion to approve. Carol, second by Ms. Clark. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? And I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. Up next, we have approval of the minutes from the July 8th and the July regular session, the July 18th special call meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented? So moved. Motion by Mr. Carroll. Second by Mr. Yamas. Are there any additions or deletions to the minutes? And I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. All right, up next, we have reports to council. I'll call on the county administrator.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Only one report tonight. Have the honor and privilege of acknowledging Lawrence County's latest department head hire for our Building and Codes Department. That's Miss Ashley Rochester. It's in the back of the ring.
Good evening, welcome. We're excited that you've joined us and look forward to great things. Is that all right? Next, public comments. Next, no public comments this evening. So we're going into old business. Up first is any council submissions for boards, commissions, or committees. Do we have any this evening? And then we'll move on to second reading of Project Onward. This is ordinance 968.
Ordinance 968, project onward, second reading.
Motion by Mr. Carroll,
Second.
second by Mr. Wright. Is there any discussion? I would say, I think we're all still excited about this project. I saw Ms. Ellenberg out in the audience. Thank you for joining us tonight. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving ordinance 968 on second reading, please raise your right hand. 7-0. All right, up next, we'll move on to ordinance 967, which is second reading of the comprehensive plan.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of second reading of ordinance 967, the 2023 comprehensive plan.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Anderson. Second by Mr. Carey. Now looking forward for discussion. Is there any discussion? No, we've had a lot already, but is there any discussion tonight on ordinance 967? I'll just thank staff once again. It's been a long, hard process, and I know they're still working on all the final details, and look forward to the official draft to be presented to us for third reading at the next meeting. Here, no more discussion. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes 7-0. Up next is resolution 2024-25, which is approval of the county administrator's employment contract. The county attorney made all the requested changes and Reese sent us the draft on that. And if someone desires, we'll make a motion to approve this resolution to continue employment with Mr. Higgs for another 3 years.
Motion to approve.
By Mr. Rankin.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carroll.
I have a question on
Yes,
this contract. I think it's, letter D regarding the annual evaluation. I think there is a word that say may, and I would prefer if council would agree that it should be shall, or that there will be an annual review. Because I really feel like we need to have an annual review. Okay, I want the word may out.
All right, so section 2, letter D, currently reads the full county council may conduct an annual performance review. I'm hearing you make a motion to amend section 2D to read the full county council shall conduct an annual so and so.
Yes.
I'll take that in form of a motion by Ms. Anderson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Kerr. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend?
Does that affect the timeline by which we approve those?
It does. This resolution. Any further questions or discussion? Here none, I'll call for a vote on the amendment to change the word may to shall in section 2D for the administrator's annual review. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0, the amendment passes. And now we're back to the full document with the new verbiage for section 2D. Is there any further discussion on the full contract? I'd like to thank you, Mr. Higgs, for all your hard work. We appreciate you and look forward to at least another 3 years and maybe more. But you've been doing a great job. Just keep it up. And it's been a pleasure to work with you. All those in favor of approving resolution 2024-25, county administrator's 3-year employment contract, please raise your right hand. Carries 7-0. Congratulations. All right, we'll move on into new business. Up next, we have first reading of ordinance 969, which is the fireworks discharge ordinance we discussed at our last meeting. I will allow Mr. Yance to make that motion if he desires. It was his request to put her on the agenda. Would you like to make a motion to approve this ordinance?
Yes, sir, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 969 on fireworks discharge ordinance.
Motion by Mr. Yance.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carroll. I'll open the floor for discussion.
We do have some verbiage in one other ordinance regarding fireworks. We're gonna override this, are we gonna exit out of the other ordinance?
So I
And let
assume
this be the ordinance, what we gonna
are
do?
you referring to the noise ordinance?
Yes, and it has been there about the fireworks.
It would, so the attorney, please correct me if I misspeak. But it's my understanding that the more stringent rule would overshadow the lesser. But by approving this, it would not negate the entirety of the other noise ordinance. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that's correct. That's contained in subsection C with the conflict with other regulations.
Would it take that particular section out of that particular ordinance and let this stand as the firework ordinance?
To the extent this one is more stringent, yes.
Okay.
And to be clear that the verbiage will not come out of the other one. And it is simply a blip in that one, honestly, Ms. Anderson. It just mentions it as one of the noise options along with everything else.
I realize that people come back and point to that one, overlooking this one, so I don't want any kind of confusion. I want it to be clear exactly what we're saying.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask, where else in the state, or is there another example of a similar ordinance?
I don't have an answer for you.
I guess, and I'm not necessarily against the ordinance. I would like to express one area of concern under under the exceptions, letter G, referring to the 1,500 feet as the requirement for someone to shoot off fireworks near a animal housing facility or a fenced area designed to confine livestock or other animals. That's over a quarter mile. I mean, a quarter mile is 1,320 feet. 1,500 feet is, in my opinion, over the top, and I think that could be extremely complicated, especially when you have a large number of people in Lawrence County that have fencing for livestock. Just one person that has livestock affecting a quarter mile radius of people around them get written permission to fire fireworks, in my opinion, is overload, especially when the average recreational use firework does not travel more than 300 feet. So I would like to see the ordinance amended to reflect a 500-foot limit, and I could entertain 600. But I feel that would be more appropriate, given what fireworks do. I know we're not talking about a major fireworks show. Obviously, if a city does that, you know, they're going to be complying with city ordinances. But this, in my opinion, is too much to ask for Lawrence County citizens to abide by.
Making that a formal motion, Mr. Franklin.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to amend the 1,500 feet to 500 feet.
So, motion is to amend section 4G to read within 600 feet,
500.
sorry, 500 feet of an animal housing facility or fenced area designed to confine livestock. And we'll change the 500 feet in the second line to reflect that as well. If somebody wanted to seek permission to fire within that distance, they must get express permission of the owner 72 hours in advance. Have a second to that amendment.
Any discussion on it?
We can get a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carroll. Now we can.
So we want to change 1,500 feet, 500 feet,
That's the amendment on the table. Yes, sir.
but 1,500 feet is a long way, 500 feet is not too far off. And some of the fireworks they make nowadays, if you've got livestock, I think that's just a little close, that's 100 yards, a little more than 100 yards. I say leave it as it is, and this may not be the right way, and just see how it pans out. I mean, if we have people with livestock, and you've got people 1,000 foot off, they shooting, they're not bothering the livestock, they'll complain, let a sleeping dog away. But I say leave it at 1,500, just see how it pans out.
Any other discussion on the amendment to change letter section 4G to 500 feet?
Mr. Chairman, I'll just express my concern with us potentially using this ordinance to weaponize people to actively look for people shooting off fireworks within a 1,500 feet range to then go after them with these fines. That, you know, if you look at the first offense, $500 fine, $750 fine for a second offense, and third with 1,000, and then the enforcement. Again, you know, in the sheriff's office involved, again, a quarter mile radius is massive. I mean, we're even city fireworks do not go 1,500 feet in the air. Quarter mile is extremely high. So again, I feel like this could be dangerous. I understand the intent. I agree with the premise of the ordinance. But again, this is just, going too far. And again, I'm a property rights act, advocate. And, we just have to make sure we're protecting both people here. I want to protect livestock. I think that's important. We did have one incident where, this was brought up, as something that affected someone's personal livestock. But that's one instance. Now, we don't know of any other instances, not, taken away from that instance. But at the same time, we don't want to go over the top and do something that would, really harm our citizens in the long haul. So if we leave it at 1,500, I will be voting in opposition to the ordinance.
I would like him to take into consideration of F, it has 600. And that's a hospital church, and it would be good if something was consistent there instead of the 500. What do you think about that?
I'd be open to amending that to 500 feet as well. And we could just make it 500 feet across the board.
We want to step back 500, somebody thought 600, church, sacred church. Get your feeling.
I think we also do have to address, though, in F, you do have a lot of churches that do set off fireworks. So are they exempt from this because they're the entity that's shooting them off?
It says that,
Assuming so.
yeah, unless authorized by proper officials or managers of the property during times allowed.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, right this second, we have a motion to amend letter G to 500 feet within an animal housing facility or fence area designed to contain livestock.
Question.
Yes, sir.
So I have a home and I have a fence and I keep my dogs in there. Those are other animals and I'm keeping them in a fence. So this will pertain to my neighbors right next to me, correct?
Under current verbiage, yes, sir. Unless they get your permission. $72.
So anybody that had a fence with a dog has to get permission, their neighbors have to get permission. Just make sure I'm.
All right. We have the motion to amend on the table, and then we'll go back to the full ordinance. Is there any more discussion on the 500-foot amendment?
I really think it needs to be rewritten as far as that sentence. G, I think it needs to be rewritten. I don't think, comparing your dogs with horses and cows. And it is kind of like in the sentence, when they said, animals. So I'm thinking they're talking about a facility, where that's part of your business and a part of your livelihood is your, the farm animals you're raising or the horses that you are breeding. So I think maybe we might need to look at that, sentence, G, and come up with something a little bit different.
So what I would ask, maybe Ms. Anderson, is if you would like to work with the county attorney between now and the next reading on that verbiage. I would like to take the amendment on the footage at the moment, but if you'd like to offer another amendment, we got 3 readings. All right, so the amendment to change the 1,500 feet to 500 feet is the amendment on the table. All those in favor of approving the amendment, please raise your right hand. All opposed? Motion fails 2-5. Councilman Tribble, Yance, Patterson, Councilwoman Anderson, Clark in opposition. That amendment fails, so the verbiage will still read 1,500 feet for today. So we are back to the original motion on the full ordinance. Is there any further discussion? Full ordinance.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just say, again, I will be voting in opposition tonight, not because I am against protecting livestock. I very much want to do that. I just want to make sure we do it the right way as a county. And I would just implore my fellow council members to take an extra hard look at this. I think this could open up a can of worms. I'll leave it at that.
I'll say that I agree with Mr. Rankin. While I do think it is important that we protect all property owners in this county. I grew up on a farm. We had to put the cows in the bottoms and lock the horses in the stalls. And it was part of the events of the 4th and of New Year's. My concern is we have an ordinance on the books that governs the noise. Ms. Anderson alluded to that earlier. As a matter of fact, the timing and the times on the noise is more restrictive than what's in this particular ordinance. I know the big concern last week was some folks from from neighborhoods shooting fireworks into people's pastures, so on and so forth. Well, in addition to noise ordinance already on the books, we also have disorderly conduct. We've got disturbing the peace. There's all kinds of laws on the books that, in my personal opinion, if chosen to be enforced by the law enforcement officers, could easily take care of the majority of the issues that we have been told about during this ordinance. And in my personal opinion, we have a phenomenal sheriff's department, and I think they use good judgment in their execution of their duties. And I think it works with when there are problems, because once again, shooting fireworks into somebody's horse pasture is absolutely unacceptable, and the sheriff should handle that accordingly if he's able to find who the perpetrator is. But I think that we could work within current laws that exist to accomplish the goal that is attempted to be accomplished through this. That's my opinion. Are there any more questions or further discussion? Now I'll call for a vote on first reading of ordinance 969, the fireworks discharge ordinance. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion fails 3-4. Councilman Yance, Carroll, Patterson, and Rankin in opposition. Up next, we have ordinance 971, which is ordinance to convey property owned by Lawrence County. Sure you read here in the packet that this property is in Clinton. It is the property beside Sterilite. Currently, there is a development project in the works that will be shown interest in purchasing that project. Coleman has worked with them on that. And my understanding, they're not currently requesting FILO, so it will just be a normal commercial project in the county. But it will take 3 readings and a public hearing to fulfill that sale.
Motion to approve ordinance 971.
Motion to approve 971 on first read by Mr. Rankin, second by Mr. Tribble. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Passes 7-0. Up next is first reading on ordinance 972, which is to address improvements on Happy Valley Road. I will call on the attorney/administrator to give us some more detail on that. Yeah, let's go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This ordinance addresses 2 pieces of property along Durbin Road. We actually have Jeremy Ritchie from Blue Water Civil Design who can talk about the technical aspects of the road closure that would involve one road closure and the widening of one road right of way. Again, Mr. Ritchie is here and available to answer any questions that council may have about the development of those 2 roads.
If you'd like to speak, feel free. The brief council, that's you know where our fountain and box site is on that triangle. Basically, long story short, on Durbin Road, we'd be giving up property to put in a turn lane on Sullivan, I believe that's correct. And then also on the Happy Valley Road, which is goes to the tip of that triangle in Durbin. We will be closing the road there and then giving up a little bit of right of way for them to install a cul-de-sac, which is for the purpose of emergency vehicles to turn around. But I'll if you want to elaborate on that, or if council has questions directly, you can go there.
I can pretty well hit the nail on the head. We have Jeremy Richwood who works civil design. we have a development out there, Durban Meadows, and there is a triangle that we're talking about with Happy Valley, Sullivan, and Durban Road. Currently, I think most folks to get to the development will use Happy Valley as somewhat of a cut-through road, which is at a very severe angle. And so because of that, there was a right turn lane that was needed for the development. And where that road is located, the right turn lane is on the Happy Valley Road currently, as the intent was. However, it's very severe angle, probably 30, 40 degrees, really acute. And ultimately, I think the idea would be that Sullivan Road entrance off of Durban is pretty close to 90 degrees. There's a recycle facility there. We could make some efforts to widen out and improve that entrance from Sullivan Road or on from Durban Road onto Sullivan Road with the right turn lane there, help out vehicular traffic that way, have a 90-degree angle onto it. And basically that eliminates that acute angle of folks coming out of the neighborhood and taking Happy Valley Road all the way down to the end where you have this hard left, bad sight lines. Everything is much improved at Sullivan Road. Your sight lines are better, and we can work with that and hopefully improve some of the traffic into the facility and also lessen any intersection problems at Sullivan Road and Happy Valley Road. So Happy Valley Road would terminate probably 400 feet or so away from Durban Road. But what that does just eliminates that need. We have a full cul-de-sac there that would handle any sort of vehicular traffic for emergency purposes to turn around or somebody goes down the wrong way. And it also frees up that entire, keeps that triangular piece as one big piece and still provides access for everybody that would potentially need anything in that area.
Are there any questions?
Is this road representative of the road that was discussed at our last council meeting that the concerns the citizen had, that it was very narrow right there and that the traffic was
Yes.
bad?
That was, he lives on this corner here, if I'm not mistaken.
How would this change impact that or mitigate the problem he's had?
Sullivan Road will be widened out. So it will be widened as a part of this effort. And Happy Valley Road, really, the only reason you're going to go down Happy Valley Road is you have specific purpose to go see somebody in that direction. So it really eliminates that high level of traffic that would potentially go down Happy Valley Road. It would all be going down Sullivan Road at this point, which would be widened out accordingly. And there are some large trees on that adjacent property as well that are substantial and really close to the intersection. So it's one of those things where you'd have to cut down these big trees to do any sort of road work on Happy Valley as well to go that route.
But it does widen Sullivan, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
And it is wide enough for 2 cars to go back.
correct.
Okay, because I think it brought our attention only 1 car.
Right.
Could go,
And then further
and then they would have to stop.
What's the pavement width we're going to?
The pavement width would be 20 feet. I think it's 16 feet out there. There's a stone base that extends out underneath that pavement so that the stone base is 21 feet, but the actual pavement width up top would go from about 16 feet to 20.
Before I ask for a motion, is there any other questions? Thank you for coming this evening. All right, I'll open the floor for a motion on first reading of ordinance 972.
Mr. Chairman, I move for first reading approval of ordinance 972 for the improvements on Happy Valley Road.
Motion by Ms. Anderson,
Right.
second by Mr. Yance. Is there any further discussion on the ordinance?
Now, we go out there and look and see if we can do all what you done said you got to do.
Man,
You said she was gonna send somebody out to make sure you're doing everything you said you're gonna do. We will, our roads and bridges will be all over it. All right, any other questions or discussion? I do appreciate the contractor working with the roads up there and improving them to better suit all the citizens of Orange County. That being said, I'll call for a motion, first reading of ordinance 972. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. All right, up next, I'm going to call on the county attorney before I call for a motion. This is on the ordinance, first reading of ordinance 970, which is amending the mobile home park ordinance 934, but they are specific amendments. I'll let him elaborate.
So I can quote specific for you.
Page 4 and page 13. Thank you. So, if I'm not mistaken, this is coming as a motion from the planning commission. This is already done before then as well.
Yeah, I'll give you a little background. We were having some issues regarding the interpretation of our mobile home ordinance between the building and codes department and our planning department, which we held a public discussion in front of the planning commission to seek input from various residents in the community. Various department heads were there from Orange County, as well as members of the planning commission. And as a result of that meeting, planning commission has recommended that we amend the mobile home ordinance in two different particulars. One is to add some new definitions to the mobile home ordinance. Currently, there's no definition in our mobile home ordinance for a modular home. So we're asking that the ordinance be amended to include the definition for a modular home, which is included in the packet of the ordinance. Also doesn't have a definition for stick-built homes. So we're asking for the ordinance to be amended to include a definition for stick-built homes. And the reason these definitions are important is because there is a section in the mobile home ordinance that restricts where mobile homes can be placed. And the interpretation was restricting the mobile homes from being placed on any subdivided property in Lawrence County. So we are asking that that section be amended to read that mobile homes shall be restricted from being placed in established designated subdivisions wherein 50% or more of the existing structures are stick-built or modular homes. That is my understanding and the planning commission's understanding of the practice before the adoption of this ordinance was that when someone came in to obtain a mobile home permit, they would look to see how many different homes were in the neighborhood. And if less than 50% of the homes were stick-built homes, they would give them a permit. If there are more than 50% stick-built homes, they would not receive a permit. So this just codifies the practice that was done before the adoption of this ordinance.
One clerical note on page 4, it references ordinance 69. I know y'all working on a bunch of ordinances, but it's meant to be 970 there. To reflect this ordinance. Just to summarize the recommendation of the county attorney, on page 4 of ordinance 934, we're adding 2 definitions, first one being modular home, the second being stick-built home. And again, on page 13, letter I, as he mentioned previously, worded no mobile homes could be put in any subdivisions. There was no clarification on which type of subdivision they were being put in, so this solidifies and codifies the practice that they already were practicing, to where mobile homes can only be put into designated subdivisions where 50% or more are mobile homes already. There a motion to approve ordinance 970, amending ordinance 934.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Carroll, second by Mr. Rankin. Is there any discussion or questions for county attorney?
I have a question that it's off my head, but it's not necessarily regarding, marginal home. Have we been thinking about tiny homes? Do we have anything for? Sorry, but do we? I don't think we do we?
Our subdivision ordinance does contain a provision that applies to tiny homes.
Uh-huh,
We're just learning that it doesn't apply to all types of tiny homes, because that is a broad definition of different homes. But, so it is somewhat addressed in our subdivision ordinance, to the extent that we can include all tiny homes in that definition. But that has given us a headache in the past, or the extensive amount of tiny homes there are out there.
thank you for your answer. I know, that's not regarding, but thank you.
Any other questions or further discussion? Here now, I'll call for a vote on first reading of ordinance 970. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes 7. Up next is approval of resolution 2024-26, an MOU with the city of Clinton regarding bond court. I'll call on the county administrator or attorney to elaborate on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. City of Clinton reached out. They needed the ability to hold bond hearings. We already have magistrate judges in our system, in our building, that are willing and capable of doing that job. This would just be allowing administration, upon review of the county attorney, to execute an agreement with the city of Clinton and or the magistrate judges to provide that service to the city to hold the bond.
Explanation by the county administrator. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2024-26 for an MOU to be executed with the city of Clinton regarding bond court?
Motion approved.
Motion by Mr. Rankin, second by Mr. Carroll. Is there any discussion?
Now, this is magistrate court? What kind of court?
No, ma'am, this is the
Just
city of,
here.
this is the city of Clinton's bond hearings. They need judges to have those hearings, and they would pay the judges separately and everything, but this is an MOU allowing our magistrates to go handle those bonds.
Don't they have a city judge?
I can't speak to them. I don't know about their operation. This is something they reached out to us asking for, so.
Hey, Councilman Trump,
Yes, ma'am.
don't they have a city judge?
Then they reached out to us and negotiated this with our chief magistrate,
Correct.
Judge Braun.
They reached out to our magistrate system.
Matter of fact, on the notice, it goes straight to the chief magistrate judge and sends a copy to us. So this is really more of theirs, but given our form of government. It requires our. But given that it was their request, there's no financial impact to Orange County taxpayers.
Correct.
Recommend.
Correct. None, and it's something they've already discussed, and if they're okay with this, is a formality of us, as you stated, Mr. Chairman, under our form of government.
Questions or discussion on resolution 24-26? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving resolution 2024-26 MOU with the city of Clinton regarding bond court, please raise your right hand. All those opposed,
I abstain.
motion passes 6-0-1. Councilwoman Anderson in an abstention. Up next, we have approved resolution 2024-27, which is the assignment of the Yorkshire Philo. If you'll remember, 3 months back, we approved that Philo agreement. This resolution specifically assigns who will be paying the agreement. And it will go from Project Yorkshire to Duke LLC or Duke Power, Duke Energy. Thank you. I want to make sure I got that right. So this Philo assignment will be assigned to Duke Energy. motion to approve resolution 2024-27. Motion by Mr. Carroll.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ryan. Are there any discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving resolution 2024-27, the Yorkshire Philo, please raise your right. Passes 7. All right, up next we have county council comments. I'll start on my right, Ms. Clark. Right,
No comments tonight.
Mr. Trill,
None for me, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Yamas. Ms. Anderson.
We keep it going.
With that, I will thank everyone again for coming. Still a little light outside. You might enjoy the rest of your day. We do have a few items for executive session. I will entertain a motion for county council to enter into executive session. 3 different items. One's receipt of legal advice subject to the following cases. Case 2023 CP 300000016, 00019, 0328, and 2024 CP 3000070. That is to receive advice from the county attorney concerning pending litigation in which the county is named as a defendant. Also, after that, receive legal advice subject to attorney-client privilege from the county attorney concerning potential litigation with a certain municipality located within the county concerning the collection of taxes, as well as third, the discussion of the employment and compensation of an emergency management director.
I motion to move into executive session.
Have a motion by Mr. Rankin, second by Mr. Carroll, to move into executive session for the reasons stated. All those in favor, please raise your right. Passes 7-0. We will enter into executive session at 6:50.
I'm good.
Time is now 8:05. We'll call this session of council back to order. County Council met in executive session. Three matters. Legal briefings. Cases in which the county has defendants. Receipt of some advice on pending litigation. As well as discussion of the employment compensation of emergency management director. No action was taken in executive session, but I'll now open the floor if anyone desires to make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the county administrator to finalize the hiring process for the position of emergency management director.
We have a motion by Mr. Rankin.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carroll. Is there any discussion? And I'll call for a vote authorizing the county administrator to finalize the hiring process for the emergency management director. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes 7-0. Are there any other motions to be made?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Rankin. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. Thank you.
Stand by. Going.